welcome to the Everyone Has a Story podcast. Today we're going to talk about intentions. Now, a lot of people talk about intentions. They mention the word, they use the word, but what does it really mean? Now, for example, I love to fly fish. Everybody in this audience knows I love to fly fish. So my intention, trust me, when I go fly fishing, my intention is one thing and one thing only. I am going to catch fish. That's my intention, is to catch fish. But as we all know, sometimes life gets in the way. Take, for example, one of my last trips to South Dakota. I'm fly fishing Rapid Creek right there in the beautiful foothills of the Black Hills. I'm having a beautiful day. I am catching fish. I'm not catching big fish, but I'm catching fish. And so anytime that you have that tug on your line, everything is good. But I knew getting where towards the end of the day, this final spot was going to be a much deeper hole that is going to, if there's going to be bigger trout there, there's going to be big trout in this hole. I could not wait. So I'm enjoying the sunshine. I'm daydreaming. I'm looking at the sky, the sun, listen to the wind go through the pine needles. And about that time, I round the corner, and there, just like on Christmas vacation, the Griswold Christmas tree, the sun was coming down on this spot. And I knew damn well that this was going to be the right time of the day to catch a good big trout in this little deep area. And just like the Christmas tree, or unlike the Christmas tree on Christmas vacation, there was a tree that had fallen across the creek, right in the middle of this deep pool. So now as I'm thinking, okay, I know there's going to be a fish in there. It's going to be a big fish. And I need to make sure that I keep it from going into the branches underneath, or I'm going to lose it with my line going all through the branches. So I get myself all mentally prepared. I get everything ready. I throw the fly, and I mean, it hit exactly the spot that I wanted. And sure enough, right when that fly hit, a big monster came out of the water, took my fly, and went right for the trees. And I could not get that fish stopped before it got into the branches. And so now I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be the best fish. I am going to do whatever I can to catch and net this fish. So I wade over, and I can feel the fish still on my line. So I lay my pole down on the tree that's across, and I start to literally unwind my line through the branches of this tree, and I can still feel it on the line. So I know it's still there. So I'm getting it. I get some line unreel. I reel it in like that. I unwind some more line. I reel it in, and I can still feel this fish. And about that time, I hear this splash right behind me, and I turn around, and here is this big whopper of a brown trout right behind me. Literally, his nose is probably 2 inches away from my net. Still got the hook in his mouth, and I look, and I'm thinking, well, this is a fun ending to this. So I grab my net, I net the fish, I unhook it. I'm looking at this bad boy thinking, wow, my intentions came true. And so after I took a picture of him, I let him go. I tell this story because my fly fishing trip to South Dakota is nothing like New Year's resolutions or when people have goals. We have great intentions, but are those intentions really aligned with the actual goal itself? I find too many people, matter of fact, data shows that over 92% of the people who set a resolution or set a goal throughout the year, they fail. They fail to achieve it. 92%, over 92%. Why is that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, because as humans, we should be better than that. We should make sure that if we have a goal, just like I had that goal of catching that big brown trout. I mean, it was the best looking trout ever I've caught. If you have those intentions, why cut yourself short by not reaching that? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I have to tell you, my guest speaker today, we're going to have a fun talk about intentions, because she is the master of helping people achieve their goals through the right intentions. So, Lisa Goldenthal, thank you for joining me. I love having you here.
Thanks, Roger. I'm thrilled to be here with your audience.
And I know that you really want to go fly fishing with me, but we'll talk about that later. Okay.
I don't know
So,
if I have patience for that. I think patience are required.
well, sometimes, and waiters. So, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. That'll be another podcast. So, Lisa is a high performance coach. She's an executive coach. She's the author of the Boss Weight Loss Method, and she's also the founder. And you gotta love this, of the Skinny Jean workout. I mean, this person knows how to get people to achieve their results, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, before we get started, Lisa, thank you again. And is there anything that I missed that you want to say to introduce yourself?
No, you handled it fine. High performance executive coach. I'm here to help you guys perform at your very best, not just now. Maybe you're listening to this in January, I don't know, but over the long run.
Well, welcome and thank you. So,
Sure.
getting into, let's really kind of outline what you do and who you do it for before we really get into really the meat of the podcast here. So, what exact? Well, let's start. Who exactly are your clients?
My clients are the doers, fearless, successful leaders who dare to demand more from their life.
And and so the first thing that comes to my mind, I would think these guys already know how to get things done. They know how to live their intentions. So why do they need you?
I'm the catalyst for change. I help leaders unleash their full potential. We don't just set goals, we demolish barriers to achieving them. So, have you ever met someone who's really successful in one area of their life and there's a gap? I know that's been the case for me and everyone I've ever met.
Yeah, Grand Canyon size gap for most of them. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
so success is not about money. It's about all areas of your life, in my opinion.
exactly. And that's why I'm glad you're here because as I've told you countless times, you are one of those. You're like that Swiss Army knife and duct tape put together. You have something for everybody that can fix everything. And a lot of times, I talk to executive coaches, I talk to nutrition coaches, I talk to personal trainers, I talk to, I mean, you name it, kind of coach. And they have expertise in one of those areas and maybe a little bit of dabbling in some of there, but you have the full package. And that's what I love about how you think and how you articulate what you do because you literally are the full package. And it's because you've lived the full package. You like you said, you've had those gaps. You've known exactly what those gaps feel like, look like,
Right.
probably taste like, and you know how to help these individuals out. But why is it your passion to be this Swiss Army knife for these individuals?
Well, my first passion was always and still always has been health and wellness. And then I realized that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And in particular, leadership to me is not about intelligence, it's about emotional intelligence. And picture this, he stood towering over me, voice booming. I'm thinking, this is leadership. And as he stood there mansplaining, I stood in disbelief, and I have seen leadership at its worst. Intimidation, not inspiration. That's when knew it was time for the boss plan. To me, real leadership isn't about volume, it's about vision.
And a wonderful heart and soul. So we're in the new year. This is being recorded in January. And as I talked about earlier in the beginning of the podcast, this is the time of year where people really focus on New Year's resolutions. I mean, it's almost just like we put a bow on the Christmas tree and we have Christmas presents under that and everything else. It's January comes and people start setting resolutions. And
Right.
over 92% fail. And it's almost become almost a badge of honor to fail because all your other buddies, there's a good chance all your other buddies have failed too. So it's a badge of honor to have a reason to go out and have a cocktail or a beer or something like that because, okay, woe is me and we'll try again next January. And so my question is, why should it matter now? Not just, in January, but why should it matter now that we get into the habit of believing that we can, you know, have our intentions, which are typically good and for growth and everything else, and have a better chance of achieving those. But if, let's say, you start to think about this goal in March or April, does someone have to wait till January 1st of the following year to live that? No. And so, I mean, they're missing out. And
Right.
so, so why does it really matter to really live your life the way you want to live and not have the the good old fashioned January 31st beer party because all of your buddies have already failed to reach their goal. They've already dropped it.
Right. I mean, now it is a new year and I love the new year. And let's just forget about resolutions and we'll call them what you just said, goals. Okay. It's about goals. Pick one, pick two, pick three, and don't revisit them once a year in January. Waiting till Monday or January or when you're ready is an excuse and you're afraid. And we've all been there. We've all failed. I have failed many times. All successful people have failed. But let's just talk about intention implementation, which is taking action. So what you need to do is start small. I started, for example, a year ago when I moved here with a commitment to do yoga for 20 minutes every day. Do I do it every day? Pretty much. I mean, probably 6 days a week at the travel schedule, whatever. Then to that, I stacked onto it a 1 minute plank. And before that, years prior, during the pandemic, I had started with unbreakable meditation habit. And I'm already exercising. So it's about implementation, taking action and digging into why. Like, why do you want this goal? Before you can make a plan and take action and have implementation intentions, which is just taking action now, deciding what you'll do specifically, when, where you'll do it. You have to first know why. Why now? Why do you want this goal? Why do you want to be better at communication with your team? Is everyone quiet quitting? Why do you want to lose weight? Do you want to show up in self-leadership, which is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. How you lead yourself is influence, how people are noticing. So just decide, why do you want it?
Okay, so let's break down that why I'm calling them intentions. You know, I'm a firm believer that the goal is the prize, but the fact is to get there, if you don't have your intention perfectly aligned with your goal, what's going to happen is, just like the other 92% of the time, that goal is going to be a distant memory. But the why never leaves us. It might be put on pause, but the why typically never leaves us, correct?
That's so true. But, it sounds so cliche, what about why and why matters? And it really does. But it's really about digging deep. The Toyota Motor Company was turned around by digging 5 layers deep into your why. So it's not just surface stuff. Well, I want to lose weight. Why? Because I want to look hot. Why do I want to look hot? Because I want to meet somebody and I want them to notice me. Why do you want them to notice me? Well, been alone for a while and I'd really like somebody in my life. Well, why do you want somebody in your life? And that's just an example of getting to the painful why. Like it said, you have to keep digging until you find the pain. And pain is the biggest motivation of taking action. It's not pleasure. So people will do a lot more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure.
So, you know that I've been part of the health and fitness industry for the last 30 plus years. And one time during my managership, when I was a general manager of the club that I now an owner in, I would have I would have all my salespeople, when they would sign up a brand new member, they would find their what we call their hot button, their why. it's a SMART goal and the reason why they have that SMART goal. And they would fill out this form, the hot button form sheet, and they would send it to the trainers. So that way the trainers would already know what this person is looking to achieve in measurable terms and by what time before they ever met with one another. To me, I thought it was just a way to really connect the trainer and the new member. And so every night to make sure this happened, I would have my sales team fax me their hot button sheets from all their new sales. And this one particular sales guy, he was just one of the funnest employees I've ever had. And we're always having fun with each other. And I get his hot button sheet for the night, and it says the reason why this person wants to join the club and lose weight is because she wants to buy a new dining room set. And I call him up and I said, okay, if you didn't think I really read these things every night, I do. And so, do you really think I'm going to buy that this person wants to buy furniture, dining room set? And he goes, Roger, I swear to God, this is her hot button. She has tried losing weight 100 million different times. She's failed at every one of them. So she told herself, I'm going to promise you, self, that if you do lose this weight, I'm going to buy you that brand new dining room set that you've always wanted. And so that was her why. It was her way of getting herself focused on attaining and achieving that goal. So other than someone that was proactive enough to think about this, how can an individual, Lisa, really become aware that they're in that hamster wheel of every year having an intention, setting a resolution, and by the end of January, 1st of February, they're already out of sync and they're nowhere even close to attaining that goal?
Well, I love that story, Roger, because motivation is different for everybody. And if she's found a reward for putting in the hard work, because hard work is going to be required, sacrifices are going to be required. Hitting your goals is all about what you're not doing, not just what you're doing. So it's good to have reward consequences if you don't do that. Like maybe you have to shave your head and do 100 burpees, something fun or painful. Also, to accountability is really the missing link of a wish, a goal, an intention, a dream, and implementation of your intention.
All right, well said. So let's step away from the individual aspect now and talk about the business and organization. Does
Right.
having the right intentions aligned with that goal, whatever they're trying to achieve, does it apply here the same way that it does with an individual?
Well, I love that question, Roger. Thank you for asking it because what I'm seeing right now is that problems in communication are in business, they're in personal relationships. We've all been set back, like I'd say 15 years in the last 3.5 years because of all the uncertainty and disruption. So, what businesses are starting to notice is how expensive it is to replace an unengaged, disengaged employee with this quiet quitting, and they're just sitting there thinking, I don't really want to work here. When is it 5 o'clock? To fix that, it comes from within leadership, bringing in a training, and not just for one day, because sounds all rah rah and great, but maybe training before the training and training after the training, and then you have your implementation with action and follow through and accountability. And one small step can change your life. I know you and I have talked before about the Kaizen way of rooted in the culture, which is emphasizing achieving success through consistent, gradual steps. So, what can you do right now? Who's holding you accountable? What is your vision? And do your employees even know what your vision is? Because people right now want to work for a company where they believe in the values and the vision of the company, and they want to know that you value them and you care about their visions.
Well, I have this executive book club that actually tonight of all nights is the marking of the 60th consecutive meetup. And one of the books that we read is called The Dream Manager. And just listening to you articulate that, it is, it is something where I would like to be able to bottle you up and send you to every organization, because every organization needs to have that consideration, that emotional intelligence, the energy, the synergy to build everybody together. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by reading a book. It happens by having, like you said, that accountability partner, that champion to really make that person and that company, that organization really become harmonized, aligned, and really in sync with one another. And
Yeah.
so, I love the way you articulate it, and thank God we have this, recorded so that way everybody will get a chance to hear what you just said. But but before we get into your action steps, because I know you are a big action-minded person and coach and accountability partner, and what are the real tangible results by having a whole organization of beautiful employees, beautiful individuals, aligned and in sync with the same intention to the very end?
Well, I love that question. And by taking these small action steps, there's a real ROI on executive coaching. There's been studies done by Harvard Business Review, and the ROI you can expect to achieve more than just pays for the program. It's how much does it cost you to train a new employee and hire a new employee? And how much does it cost you that they're out there complaining in influence and reputation? So it's really about taking the Kaizen approach to listening to your people, having them take one small action step at a time, and micro habit changes. So if you train your leaders to be doing something as simple as listening better, then the employee feels heard and then they're engaged.
So let's talk about really defining what those action steps are to make this happen, both for the individuals who make up the organization and for the organization itself. And I know that one of your big things, which I admire you probably most for, is that you really understand the the emotional intelligence, but also the science behind accountability. Too many of us, we are taught from the moment that we can walk, that we should do everything ourselves, that we should count on ourselves, that we should not count on others, that we should be able to handle everything is that we're confronted with. And in some things that have to happen, I had nobody around to help me unwind my fishing line to catch my trout. All right.
Right.
But on a serious note, though, there are some things that we need that coach. We need you, but we also need that coach not to just, you know, be in a cheerleading outfit with pom poms cheering us on. We need that as well, but we also need that person that's going to put their their foot on our butt when we need that kick to
Yeah.
keep going down that path that we've all agreed to, that we know that is going to be the right path for that particular person, for whatever goal they have, whatever their intentions are. So, how does someone learn to have trust in that other person? Because for years we've been trained and conditioned, we got to do it ourselves. So we buy a book on self-help, or we go to Google and we check out YouTube or something like that. But that goes as far as what we do with our New Year's resolutions. 92% of us fall short. So
Right.
what is the magic of having you a coach, an accountability partner to really, bust our chops when necessary.
Well, even Bill Gates will tell you everyone needs a coach. I mean, all of your top athletes have always had a coach, all of your top leaders have always had a coach. And I know men, you're told you got to do it yourself. And women, we're more able to find people that we value their opinions and listen to them. But you do have to do it yourself, like that fish. You do have to do the work yourself, but you have to find someone that you like, that you know is going to hold your feet to the fire and not going to be just, yeah, yesing you, because that's not going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Awareness is this switch that turns on your high performance engine. It's recognizing the moment when you decide to take control of your destiny. When you make a decision, you would say you're cutting it off from any other possibility. I'm going to do the thing. And at that point, you have to have somebody that you trust that's going to make you do the thing and meet with you on a consistent basis to see, did you do the thing? What could you have done better? What's the next goal?
All right. Now I'm going to throw you a major league curveball because I fully understand, and I think anybody will fully understand exactly what you just said. But here's the obstacle. It's not the tree that's fallen across my favorite area to throw my fly on. It's the fact that a lot of managers, a lot of owners in today's world do not feel confident in what they do. And so what happens is because they're not able to lead the team the way they're supposed to for whatever reason, that there's been that mighty big tall fence that's been built between the employee and the manager and the owner, and there's a divide. And you said it
Right.
earlier that the quiet quit is happening. The great resignation is happening. And so how do you help these individuals, the manager, the owner, and the frontline employees, break down that wall between them, build that confidence back up so that way they are supporting one another to help with the intentions of the employee and the company, and give them that safe space that needs to be there for everybody to thrive.
Well, I love that question too, because a mindset shift has to happen. I don't wake up every day feeling happy and confident. I condition myself to be that way. I have my morning routine where I do my meditation, and during that meditation, I focus on my three intentions that are my goals, long and short term, and I envision them happening. So you need to learn the ninja mindset hacks that you can hack your own biology mentally and physically and bring them together as a force for good so you can channel that I can do it. Nothing's gonna stop me. Winners never quit and quitters never win kind of energy. And it just, you need a plan. You need somebody to teach you how to condition your mind. It's like conditioning your body. It's a daily practice.
Thank you for that. And my last comment here is that I don't think anybody has ever won at anything, has ever achieved a goal that they wanted without having to endure some form of failure along the way. How do you help these people understand that, as much as we hate the term and the whole recognition of failure, it's important to all of us. It really is. And so, how do you help people almost not crave failure, but accept failure, and to know that that failure, whatever just happened, is really one step closer. What was it Thomas Edison said? I didn't to his critics. I didn't find 10,000 ways that I failed on. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work. So he looked at the positive side of that. You
Yeah.
know. So how do you help people with that mindset to embrace failure?
Well, I have failed. many times, and I've interviewed over 500 people that have also failed, and I've always asked them, how do you fail forward? How can you be unstoppable? Because those falls, they're just setups for a comeback, and they're your biggest teachers. So obviously the definition of insanity would be just making the same mistakes and repeating them over and over again. That try something, it doesn't work, try something else. And that doesn't work, try something else. Or whatever Muhammad Ali would say, get knocked down 8 times, get back up 9. So learn from failure and embrace the failure, because without that, we wouldn't appreciate the wins along the journey.
Well, Lisa, I knew that I was going to start off the new year with the right guest speaker, and I can't thank you enough for being my guest today to start off the new year. Give us one more piece of Lisa G. Fit advice that's going to inspire us to embrace today, tomorrow, and to keep taking those baby steps to reaching whatever our goal is.
Well, thank you, Roger, for having me. I would just say it's about micro habit change. There is neuroplasticity within your brain. Once I started doing the yoga, it just became what I do. Same with the meditation and plank. So break down your grand vision into actionable steps. Small, consistent action leads to monumental success. So start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, and don't wait for January 1st.
Absolutely. Thank you again. And if someone wants to reach out to you to learn more from you, get some coaching from you, advice from you, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, the funny story of how we met was actually a long time ago, but on LinkedIn. And Lisa Goldenthal on LinkedIn. I have a website which we can link in the highperformanceexecutivecoaching.com. And I'm on all of the things. So just find me at Lisa Goldenthal.
Perfect. Well, I can't thank you again for to start off 2024 in the right direction and the right energy.
Thank you, Roger.
My podcast wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for my sponsors and my great supporters. So let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them. First of all, I want to thank Rebecca at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting, delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. Dave and Dara at Virtues Matter, making this world a much happier place to be with their Virtues Card apps, coaching and workshops. Stephen at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers. Eric and his team at Ivy Cat Web Design, the real superheroes of web development and design. Jennifer and Jean at the Seavers Real Estate Team, serving Pierce and Kitsap counties with their home buying and selling needs. Maury at the Maury Method, the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer, helping everyone have more clarity, less stress, and overall better brain health. Priya at Pivot My Profit, helping individuals and businesses have better control of their finances and more money at the end of their day. Melissa at the Soul Vibe Energy High, the queen of the aha moments, helping individuals find those holes in their cups, repair the hole, and gain back their positive energy. And finally, Rick at West Sound Recording. You talk, they do all the rest. Thank you, Rick, for all your efforts with the production and editing of my podcast.